Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. Today's guest is none other than the Birmingham Police Chief, Mr. Patrick Smith. Welcome to our show again. This is your second visit with us. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. We're still taping from peaceful confines of home, which is not all bad. So I know there are people that are concerned about lots of things in the city of Birmingham from a law enforcement standpoint. And so I thought having you as a guest would be a great opportunity to try to talk about some positive things that are going on, and also to put the negative things that are going on in the proper perspective. But before we get to that, we're coming up on the July 4th holiday. Actually, today would be July 4th. The second viewing will be a week after, but the principles are still the same. What pieces of advice could you tell to the viewership about what would be the wrong thing to do to celebrate Independence Day?
Well, as you probably have heard, we've kicked off our Don't Shoot campaign, which we do so twice a year, once before the 4th of July holiday weekend or the 4th of July, and also before the new year. Over the past few years, we've noticed an increase in gunfire during those timeframes, much more so than normal during the regular time of the year. So what we're encouraging people to do is please don't fire your firearms as it relates to celebratory gunfire. What goes up will come down. And the other part of that is that during this time frame, we see an increased number of people making reports for damage to their property, whether it's their car, their home, their roof, or even a person. And so we're encouraging people not to do that. Please don't fire your handgun or firearm for celebratory gunfire.
Now, those are words, but we need action, viewers,
Absolutely.
and we need family members to pay attention to those people that are out there. We need communities involved as well, and churches and things where people gather so that the word can get out about what you just said. A lot of people complain about spot shotter as being too late, too little too late. Explain why that's a misapprehension of what spot shotter does.
Oh, you mean shot spotter?
Oh, I had it backwards. That's
Yes.
exactly what I meant.
Okay.
I like my way better. It is a
So
spot shotter.
yes. So we use
Shot
shot
spotter.
spotter in certain areas of the city to detect gunfire. So that helps us to know when certain areas have increased gunfire, when, time frame, time of day, things of that nature. But it also gives us a lot of information. There are times we will have gunfire and we won't even receive a 911 call, and the only information that we will get is from ShotSpotter. And so that alerts us to what's going on in the city when shots are fired, and we send officers to every single one of the ShotSpotter alerts. Coupled with that, we are now using many of our Alabama Power cameras to hone in on those areas where we have gunfire, so that we can start capturing additional information and hopefully um, uh, identify those individuals who are firing their guns during that time frame.
Of course, I would think shot spotter, said it right that time, correct?
Absolutely.
I'm getting
Yes.
better. It is a tongue twister. Uh, Allows you to send an appropriate number of officers, and
Hmm.
the city is concerned, the county is concerned about the rising homicide rate in the city of Birmingham. Um, Relatively speaking, compared with other crimes, it's sort of an aberration what's going on in the city of Birmingham. Other crimes are going down. I think it needs to be pointed out that this is not just an issue that's happening in Birmingham. Uh, what would you say to the viewers about those people that just see death after death, day after day in the paper?
Well, believe it or not, we don't have a homicide every day. Um, what happens is that one is reported several times a day, and the true reality is that when you look at our overall crime picture as it relates to crime, we're actually down in most areas of crime. The only area that we're up right now is in homicide. Now, and to place that in perspective, you can look at what's happening across the country. Right now, we're up maybe 17%, but other municipalities are up 30, 40, 50, 60, and some over 100% from last year. And so gun violence as a whole across the country is something that has increased, so much so that the president even addressed it himself as it relates to gun violence. And so here we are going to make sure that we do everything that we can to address gun violence, shots fired. We're putting together all of the systems in place so that we can adjust to just the level of violence, and we're able to put officers where we need and follow up on every single incident that occurs.
In the next little bit, do we have enough officers? We need more officers. I'm going to talk to you some more about what we just discussed and what's being done proactively, but do we have a sufficient number of officers available to us?
Certainly we need more officers. I mean, let's be realistic. When I took over back in 2018, we were 141 officers down at that time. And so we've been able to recruit more, but there's also been an increase in retirements across the country and additional officers leaving the job as relates after George Floyd. And so, yes, we need more officers. We definitely are recruiting right now, and we're hiring everyone that we can.
Don't go away. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Chief Smith. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm talking with the Chief of Police of the City of Birmingham. We're addressing the issues that we think important to all of us watching our show. You were speaking of the need for more officers, that you're actively recruiting, and I suppose briefly, if someone watching wanted to put their hat in the ring, what do they need to do to initiate that?
Well, what I would encourage them to do is to reach out to our police academy. And so we're doing all of the hiring and recruitment from our police academy. And we definitely need more officers. We need lateral officers in addition to regular officers, recruits who are interested in joining the police department. And I think that Birmingham offers a very competitive salary as well as retirement for the department and other departments. So here's what I want them to do. Call 205-254-1712, and that will get them to the Birmingham Police Academy and also our recruitment team.
Thanks for that information. I noticed recently in the news that the Birmingham Police Department, in an effort to tackle this homicide problem, has joined forces with other agencies in our greater viewing area. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with that?
Okay, so I think you're referring to our gun violence task force, and that involves the Sheriff's Department, the DA Danny Carr, our U.S. Attorney, and also all of the federal agencies, being our FBI, our
all the alphabets.
ATF, yes. So they're all working with us to bring about change in the city. to identify those individuals who are causing so many of the issues and problems as it relates to gun violence and shots fired within the city, just to let people know what we're doing, trying to reduce crime and also hold those individuals accountable when we find them.
And do y'all meet regularly? I suppose you didn't mention it, but I will because I'm a fan. Crime Stoppers is a part of this effort, I'm sure, because
Yes.
they have the
Yes.
finances. And just this week, we had a capital murder case dismissed because witnesses wouldn't show up to testify. So these are problems that are beyond your control, the police department's control, and even the DA's ability to force people and compel them to attend court proceedings. But do y'all meet regularly and have meetings about progress that's being made or plans and strategies for the future?
Yes, we do. And so what we're doing is just adjusting what we do to be more inclusive of other agencies, also to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of communication, progress, and also forwarding whatever cases that we can that can go federal, that we identify them and allow the U.S. attorney to vet those cases.
And are we getting, there's so many guns out there. I mean, if you compare the United States with other countries, we'll never be able to win that war. I don't think. But is the efforts that are being made to get guns off the street, is there some progress being made with respect to that? It's sort of like opening up a sewer pipe. I mean, what comes in goes out and then more come in, to me.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, you think about the end of last year, we had taken 2,571 guns off the street, and that was like a very high number as compared to years prior. And then we rolled to the middle of this year, and so far this year, we've taken off 1,405 guns off the street, firearms off the street already, and that's another 250 above where we were last year. And so we're still working very hard to safely remove those guns off the street. And I can only imagine where our overall numbers would be if we did not do that, if we were not aggressively identifying those illegal weapons, illegal firearms, taking them off the street and clearing as many from the streets as we could. I couldn't imagine where our numbers would be now if we were not very aggressive in that area.
A word that's tossed about, two words that are tossed about in dealing with gun violence is two words would be conflict resolution.
Absolutely.
Are we reaching into the communities to try to get the word out to the individuals, to educate and inform about conflict resolutions and how to work through things before reaching for your pistol?
Well, I think that conflict resolution is something that the city definitely needs and is sorely missed. Even it should be included in curriculum in school. But you have to recognize that many of the people that we deal with are not young kids. They're not those who are involved in this type of behavior. What we're looking at are adults, those who have not mastered the skill of conflict resolution, and many of those who feel that the handgun is the first layer of resolving a conflict, and that is never a good situation for the city.
All right, we're going to take a break in just a minute, and come back to some issues that are a little bit touchy in our community. So stay with me. Don't go away. Don't be afraid. We'll be right back. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham, talking with Chief Smith with Birmingham Police Department. So recently there was an outcry from the Fraternal Order of Police Board of Directors. I know this is a sensitive subject and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it, but it seems to have settled down, and it also seems to have been perhaps not a fair representation of what the membership felt versus what the board felt. Um, I, I would just ask that you address that and let our viewers know your feelings about those things that were reported.
Well, for the most part, this was primarily a personal attack, and I think you have to put it in perspective. The people in this city have to know one thing. I challenge them to identify one member of that board. Think about it. So it's political season. People are going to try to do what they have to do to gain some type of political leverage. And my goal each and every day is to represent the officers on this department and represent the people of the community to the best professional manner that I possibly can. And I came in here with a professional mindset to raise the standards and professionalism of this department. And that's what I'm going to continue to do every day of this week.
I know you have the support of our current mayor. And I know that there's been some talk about morale being low within the city of Birmingham's police department. Is that something that has sifted up to your level, or do you think the opposite of that?
Let me totally address that because I think it's important. You have to recognize that this last year has been difficult for everyone. Everyone had to go through a pandemic. People were sheltered in place. We were all wearing masks. We were all social distancing. A number of people were out of work. Our officers had to work through it. It was a difficult financial season for the city. Officers received furlough days and a number of other things that impacted their lives, but they had to continue to work through it. Heck, I received a pay cut myself during the entire process. So it should, everyone be dancing and singing that they're working through this whole thing, and it's a difficult time. People are looking at them differently because of George Floyd. Oh, this is a very difficult time for law enforcement. So some handle it well and others don't. Some call it PTSD. Some call it a number of things. So, it was just a difficult time in law enforcement. And as individuals and as officers, we work our way through it and we continue to march.
Well, we appreciate what you're trying to do to make things better. After all, that is the goal. And I would assume that there are programs and strategies on the horizon that you intend to put in place. Can you address that in our last half of our segment here before we close out?
No, we are continuing to work each and every day, and we're going to do everything we can to make the community safe for all community members and everyone visiting our city. Birmingham is a great city, and we want to continue to make it even better. Our officers are here each and every day, and they're going to continue to do their job regardless of what goes on, just like we did during the pandemic. I'm very proud of their efforts. I'm very proud of what's going on in our city, and I'm very thankful to every officer who continues to perform their job in a top-notch way for this city.
Certainly what you're talking about requires help, and that help must come from the community.
Yes.
What advice can you give to the community in terms of what we can do individually to try to help the city with these issues?
Well, the thing is, the thing that I always tell everyone in the community, this is your police department. While we definitely want to serve you, we need everyone to join us in this fight. If you see something, you say something. If there's information that need to be shared with us, then let us know. We're here to provide a service, and we're definitely in the service industry as it relates to law enforcement, and we want to provide great quality service. But we need the citizens. We need their eyes, we need their ears, we need their engagement with us so that we know what they see. We know what they want out of their law enforcement agency, and we're going to try to provide that in the best possible way.
I know I was eating out in downtown Birmingham this past weekend, and I noticed police officers, or at least one, because I think he gave me a parking ticket, were actually walking the beat, so to speak, in downtown Birmingham. So,
yes, we have officers walking the beat, but we also have them on bicycles and as well as in cars downtown Birmingham to cover all areas of the city. And our bike officers have been out for quite some time now, and that's to have direct representation of the police department as it relates to our business owners and also those in dining like or visiting our city.
you know, there is an element of PR involved in police work, because especially in light of what you mentioned, the George Floyd incident, people need to feel comfortable and not afraid of the police. That takes a community effort, and whether we can get there, I don't know. I know I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today, and I appreciate the information you have shared with us. This is Our Issues Birmingham. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Chief. Take care of yourself, and please be safe.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Roll over. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique.
And your mother.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.